Well, hey, BecomingMe.TV. I'm so excited to introduce you to my warrior friend, Desirae. Desirae, welcome to Becoming Me. It's good to see
Hey,
you, girl.
hey girl, how are you?
I'm great, and I'm even better now that we're talking. And y'all who are watching, I cannot wait for you to hear Desirae's story. I've had the privilege of following her story over the last several weeks and months, and watching how she's becoming who God made her to be and passionately pursue that has inspired me to my core, and I know that she's going to inspire you. So, Desirae, let's kick it off with, who is Desirae? What are the truths that make you you, girl?
Well, let's say the first obvious thing is I have really small ears, so these earphones are going to be popping in and out, and you'll see me adjusting. Secondly, I think I'm a really small person. I'm under 5 feet, so I'm really feisty. I'm small, but I'm mighty, so that's a for sure great thing. That's a given fact about myself. When I think about the truths of who I am, it's such a deep question. I think to be blatantly honest, I have to really center myself and understand what truths really are for me, given that they're facts. But my truths have evolved since this past year, from transitioning out of 2016 to embarking in 2017, and now only 5 days into 2018. What are these truths? And they constantly keep evolving, but I know the one that has been stagnant and consistent since probably my earlier years in college, since I was like 19, is my ability to be vulnerable. That is definitely a given truth about myself, and I'm very empowered by that. For a long time, I had been imprisoned by my vulnerability and seen it as a crutch. And just recently, over this year, with just transitioning into becoming Miss Ramirez, getting married, and just coming out of my situation, my circumstance of being sexually assaulted early on in the year, I realized, wow, my vulnerability can actually be used as a strength versus a weakness. And until I can actually flip the script and not see my vulnerability as a hindrance, but as a truth, then I can actually heal from within. So Desirae is just vulnerable, she's charismatic, and she has the loudest laugh ever. And that's something everybody will tell you once you get me going. And I'm definitely a warrior, and I didn't understand that till recently. So this journey is just, it makes you put your armor on every day. And I think becoming Desirae Ramirez, becoming who I truly am transitioning into, is it's a whirlwind of experience. And I think for anybody who is struggling with finding their truth, don't second guess it. I think it comes to you at the tip of your tongue right away. You just have to own it. And my number one truth is I'm vulnerable. And I like to break that dogma and that taboo of people misunderstanding what it means to be vulnerable. And I think the most powerful way to break that is to be as transparent and open and honest with yourself, so you're not imprisoned or ashamed of it, but to own it. So being vulnerable, Desiree's vulnerability is my truth.
I love it. Man, I'm already inspired, and you just shared like the intro to your Becoming story. This is awesome. Well, you started to unpack a little bit about, some big rocks of your story and your journey. And I'd love for you right now to just unpack your story. What has made Desirae who you are today?
Thank you. Well, I'm like, let's see, where do I begin? I think the catalyst that helped me embody this new woman and embody who I am in my spirit and in my soul was always there. It just needed to be awakened. And that happened when I experienced an incident, a circumstance that happened to me unexpectedly in the end of 2016. On December 29th, 2016, I was driving home and I was struck behind my vehicle on the freeway. So in all due respect, what do you do when someone hits you from behind? You do what anyone would do. You get off your vehicle and you exchange information, make sure everyone's okay, look at both automobiles and like, okay, what's the dilemma here? Upon doing so, I had allowed my vulnerability Mind you, this was December 29th, 2016. I seen this man approach me and showed every form of consideration. And he was very, oh my goodness, are you okay? Let me see your vehicle. Are you all right? Very sincere in his demeanor. And I trusted it off the bat. I allowed my vulnerability to seek past what his wicked intentions were. And because of that, I struggled with my vulnerability, breaking past it as my weakness, but seeing it as my truth of strength. And upon us discussing that there was really no need because the vehicles looked perfectly fine, I'm like, I'm not as shaken anymore to talk about it because I've gone through a year of therapy and my case is closed. I sentenced him and everything. He approached me and he sexually assaulted me. And it was a horrific experience that night. It left me naked, bruised, battered, and traumatized and robbed. And it was a really wicked night. And I don't mean to go dark or morbid to go that deep, but that was really the catalyst that I didn't know at the time that helped me embrace being vulnerable, not being, victimized by it. And was barely like the first letter of my book, not even the first chapter, not the first page. It was like in the beginning for me. That was like all I can put into words. It was all just a brand new, fresh book, empty page. And that was the first incident. It just said in the beginning. And in the beginning, I was assaulted. And I went through, the given things. You go to the ER and they, you do all that stuff. And I was still numb to all of it. Didn't want to accept that as a truth, as a reality of what just happened to me. I was 4 months engaged at the time. Me and my husband were living in my fiance at the time were living in Los Angeles. And both he and I had great jobs in the industry. And we were thriving financially. And, it's just like it shook us to the core. As time went on, we'll jump forward from, this is 2 days before the New Year's. This is 2 days before 2017 beginning. So on New Year's Eve, entering into 2017, I spent it alone in my parents' home with my fiance and a couple of close friends. I did not want to go out. It's 2 days after my assault happened to me. And I most definitely was like terrified for those who did go out that night. I'm like, oh my God, I hope no one drives on the freeway and someone does this to them. And I was really quiet about it. I didn't want to speak about it because talking about it made it real. I knew it was real, but once I verbalized it out loud to people outside of my close loved ones, then it became like a harsh, stamped reality, and I wasn't ready for that. So going into 2017, I was engaged, as I mentioned. I was 4 or 5 months engaged, and a lot of that season was spent on let's get her mind off of what happened to her. Let's empower her by reminding her that she's getting married this year. Kind of was the wrong way to approach because it's like I am barely maybe a month in from my assault, and everyone's like, so what's your wedding dress going to be like? So what's your color of your bouquet? What's the color of your wedding? Who are your bridesmaids? Are you going to have a DJ? Are you going to have a band? And all that was on my mind was, when am I going to face him in court? Because I know that's going to come. What happened to my belongings that he stole from me? What's going to happen if there's more men or people out there like him? What's going to happen in my marriage or my future marriage? Is this going to be too much for my fiance and me to endure for 2017? What's going to happen with my job? I need time off to go to therapy. I need to go to the doctors for checkups. Is my job at this company that's huge going to allow me that time and be silent about it? So I never really healed. I kind of just got thrown into the wedding experience, and I didn't want to be ungrateful. I was so fortunate that I had a great job and I had a beautiful place in Los Angeles with my fiance, and our relationship was doing well, minus that hidden skeleton in the closet. And I just exhausted myself into the wedding plans because I thought, okay, if they're insinuating that the wedding is going to distract me from what really happened to me less than 31 days ago, then okay, I'll just roll with it as well. And I found myself spinning out of control, callous and just empty, trying on a wedding dress and looking at myself in the mirror and not seeing this bride, but seeing like a victim. Sorry.
You're good.
But seeing a victim from an assault and trying so hard to understand that Desirae Contreras transitioning into Desirae Ramirez is, allowing herself to be smothered by wedding experiences and wedding moments, so to speak, versus actually taking time to heal. So I literally told my job, like, I need therapy, and an incident happened to me, and I really need to take some time off. Upon that moment, it actually ended up resulting in me just resigning because the lifestyle that I was trying to keep up with living in Los Angeles, as expensive as it was, how much work required of me, I found myself going, okay, work, money to keep this apartment, being compassionate with my husband and supporting him in his industry and what he does, and then making sure I live up to this bride expectation. And then I said, wow, I'm juggling all of this. These plates are going to come crashing. I just felt like I was spinning and spinning these plates like I was in my own one-woman circus. And I thought to myself, what is going on in here? What is going on inside my soul? What is going on inside the interior part of who Desirae is? Has she even healed? Has she even come to terms? Has those around her even come to terms that she's not just going to wake up and forget what happened to her? So I dove head on into therapy, and I went head on into my church. I had already been attending my church for a while, but I was like, okay, I need to go deeper. Like, God, the devil's trying to spin me out of control. The enemy's trying to tell me that I'm unworthy to be a bride. The devil's trying to tell me I'm unworthy to be someone's daughter, someone's best friend, someone's fiance. What is happening to me? How did this man take advantage of my vulnerability? And now it effed me up. And I struggled for a very long period of 2017, understanding how I'm going to become Ramirez. And I stamped that as kind of my unprecedented hashtag. At the time, it was just like everybody thought like, oh, it's a wedding hashtag, like hashtag wedding 2018 or hashtag wedding 2017. So everybody is like, oh, she's using hashtag becoming Ramirez to prepare everyone that that's going to be her wedding hashtag the day of. Little did they know that was my anthem. Becoming Ramirez was my anthem because I was becoming someone's wife. I was transitioning out of being a rape victim into becoming a thriver and a survivor. And so for the course of 2017, if you put in hashtag becoming Ramirez, you'll go all the way to week 1 of my assault. And people don't really acknowledge that or notice it. And you'll see all of these captions with my heart just poured out into them, from simple steps like wearing a dress again, wearing makeup again, being able to wear a purse and not a backpack, transitioning out of being feminine and not tactical anymore. For a good period of 2017, I wore leggings, Nikes, a sweatshirt, and a backpack because I always had this fear, this PTSD that if someone assaults me, can I run in this? Can I fight back in this? And so for 2017, I was exhausted to the core, and a lot of these truths started to unveil themselves in my story. Didn't even know it's a story, and I wouldn't even say my story's end. I would say my book has been closed, but my next volume is being written, and I'm really grateful for that because I have the vision and the clarity and a sound mind to see that now, whereas before I was clouded with all of this heaviness on my heart. And this hashtag becoming Ramirez, like I said, is the catalyst, but it has also been the bookmark. So for people to go, what's her story? Hashtag becoming Ramirez. You'll keep up with my story if you are willing enough to just look up the hashtag. And my page is public now. It wasn't before. I made it public because a lot of women started opening up to me in my DMs. And I was like, Lord, what are you doing? Like, I'm just a little girl here from California, and I'm trying to heal within myself. And these women are opening up to me and revealing their stories to me. And I'm just like, God, am I equipped? Am I equipped enough to be some type of assistance to these women who've been holding on to this pain for the past 10, 14, 15 years? And mine's only been not even a year yet. I think I was like at 5 months at this time. And I was just stunned by these stories coming in and people saying, hey, I keep up with your hashtag. I'm reading your story. I'm reading your captions. They're very long. I'm like, yeah, they are long. I'm a writer at heart. So yes. And they're like, but there's so much vulnerability in your captions. What made you so strong? And it was just an honest answer. I said, sharing my story made me strong. Understanding that me being vulnerable, even if it's just through a post, being vulnerable just through a post opened up a window of transparency that like burst through the glass ceiling. And it became evident to me that, oh my gosh, Lord, everything happens for a reason. This circumstance that I've went through and now am living through is going to shape my character. How can such a wicked circumstance shape my character? And to be honest, I don't have the answer. But what I do know is I trust the process. And as I'm trusting this process, my story of becoming Ramirez has continuously evolved. Granted, there's the obvious. She did therapy. She went to boot camp. I took out my anger in some kickboxing. I got healthier with my weight and I kind of got balanced. I went through with my wedding and I had a really, really open, honest relationship with my fiance, who is my husband, because we went through with our wedding in September. And through that journey, me and him got tighter than before. We were great to begin with, but we found ourselves leaving the Los Angeles life. It was just too much to keep up with, given with what we were facing. And it's not that we threw in the towel. We just realized this isn't our lifestyle anymore. This isn't our scene anymore. Working in this industry isn't what it is to us anymore, given our circumstance. So we came back home to Inland Empire, and we finally found a place to live. Literally, this is barely our second month. So it's all happened very rapidly and unexpectedly. Everything in 2017 was unexpected. But we knew going into 2017, we're going to get therapy together, because just as much as it was hard for me to physically endure this sexual assault, it was emotionally damaging to my fiance. And we said, okay, what are we going to do 2017? These aren't our goals. These are our truths. What do we need to do in 2017 that are our truths? We're going to get therapy. We're going to take time away from our careers and focus on each other and being intimate and connected with one another through vulnerability and transparency. Number 3, we're going to stay as deeply rooted to our church family as we can. And we're going to create boundaries, and we're going to let a lot of people, a lot of things, and a lot of situations go. We're not going to bring them into 2017 with us. This wasn't an overnight thing. It took all year. So flash forward to today, January 5th, 2018, I realized just my captions alone with hashtag becoming Ramirez has literally like skyrocketed this, I don't know, like phenomenon of just like what it means to embrace your true self. And it's literally just kind of trippy when I think about it. Like I can't even begin to say that this is my story, because I feel like it is still just the beginning of a new volume. I feel like I'm back on page 1 in the beginning. However, this one has a little bit of a lighter note, I would say. And I really honestly can just express, Emily, that I think becoming me, my story, may have rooted in 2016 on December 29th, but it has barely gotten watered in 2017. And my branches are barely sprouting now in 2018. So that makes me emotional. And it also makes me very freaking grateful, because I think about, wow, 2018, my branches are barely starting to grow. When those leaves blossom and those fruits come to surface, and wow, for those to be able to pick from my tree of fruit, and for me to be able to offer my fruit to those that are around me, to nourish them, is so powerful. And I honestly don't even know sometimes how I can even fulfill that. But I know if I just continue to embrace my vulnerability and not allow it to victimize me, like I felt like it did the night of my assault, and remember that I am a warrior, then my fruit will continue to prosper. And whoever's ready to pick from it, to take from it, I'm not going to hold any grudges anymore. I feel moving into 2018 with my journey, it's so much more powerful to share and to give than it is to just be silent and to hold it all in. I know not a lot of people have the privilege or are fortunate enough to have the support system or to have the finances or to have even the relationships with a partner, or even the biggest one of all for me is the relationship with a higher power. I know that there are some people that feel hopeless and feel really broken by circumstances that occurred to them at whatever age of their life and maybe even ahead of them. But I hold on to that truth of circumstances shape character. And I hold on to that, and I hold on to my vulnerability of being transparent and genuine is my strength and not my weakness. What I seen as a hindrance has actually become something honorable. And I'm grateful for that, but I know that that vision and that clarity isn't there from some folks because of where they're at in their journey. And I think it's just so powerful to hold on to the truths of who you are inside, and to hold on to that, even when everyone else is telling you that's not really your truth, or that's a little too deep, that's a little too far, that's a little weird. You hold on to that. I think it's so important to resonate how strongly your story of you becoming you in all of your essence and all of your glory is so, so important to owning it. I don't know, I'm going on a rampage because it's been such a journey. I mean, as you can hear and you can see that I'm very passionate about it, but I wasn't always like this. It took, like I said, a full year of help in every way, shape, or form. I was like, my Maslow hierarchy of needs were met, but my emotional side was a little off. So that needed a lot of help. But that's been my story. And I mean, you're welcome to pull from any part of it that you want. If you want to dig deeper, I'm gonna take a sip of coffee. I'm not gonna shut up.
You like legit are a warrior. And I love even how you just spoke to people who they might not be where you're at on the journey of being able to say, like, what was one of the hardest things has become this catalyst and this like moment that's really catapulted you into this becoming journey. And but I love how you highlighted it took a process for you. It wasn't overnight. It wasn't, okay, on the 29th, something happens. On the 30th, life is good. Like, that's not what happened. It took a journey. It's still taking a journey. And that's for all of us. Whatever we go through or will go through, like you highlighted, it's always a process, and it's embracing that process. And so I just think, man, you sharing your story and then that encouragement is going to bring so much freedom and healing to all of us, wherever we're at on the journey. So you took a sip of coffee. Now, if you're at your favorite coffee shop and you're hanging out with another woman on her own becoming journey, what would you say to encourage her?
Let's get another cup of coffee. We ain't going nowhere. That's my first thing I'd say.
The whole pot of coffee.
Yeah, I'm like, just bring it out. Matter of fact, leave the espresso machine right here because we're going to be a while. Put it on our tab. That's what I'd say. Oh, wow. I'm like, now I have to think about what's my favorite coffee shop. And I feel like I'd be biased because of the city I live in. I'd obviously say the first one that's literally less than a mile from here. But I actually had this experience. So it's funny because I'm like, I'm going to talk about a real situation. I met with a young woman through Instagram. I kid you not, Emily, when I say this, I don't know what in the world, but my vulnerability and willingness to share, sorry, I was just putting my phone aside because it kept vibrating, had so many women I've never met before in my life, even some men, which at first I was scared, but I was like, let me just be nice, reach out to me through DMs like, hey, where do you go to therapy? Where do you get help? Can we please meet up? I'm on the verge of suicide. And I just was blown away. I had to turn my phone to my husband and I'm like, I don't know if this person is trying to play me or they're really hurting, but I will not allow the devil to take them. I will not allow that. I know what that feels like. And I know how dark hopelessness and loneliness can take you. So I said, I'm going to be vulnerable right now. My husband and my family were just like, you better not meet up with this person. If you go meet up with this person, you better bring like a whole bunch of friends with you, take your dogs, take your this. And I said, no, I'm going to do what I need to do. I appreciate your kindness for looking out for me. Granted, of course they're going to look out for me. Something terrible happened to me, and it wasn't 365 days yet at the time. It was probably like 285 days. And I literally sat there and had a talk with God. And I said, Lord, if I don't do what my heart's telling me to do right now, I'm allowing the devil to win and to put me back into victimization. I'm allowing the devil to tell me, hey, don't trust this person. Their intentions are wicked, just like the man who hurt you. And believe me, it was like angel and devil on my sides. And I thought to myself, you are a lying, sneaky, conniving mother effer. And I refuse to live my life thinking every single person is out to hurt me because of one man's bad judgment that night of hurting me, whom I forgave when I faced him in court. So I agreed and I said, hey, I understand you're going through some things and I understand what it feels like to be alone. Would you like to meet up here? Sent them a location and they said yes. I went to this coffee shop not too far from where I live. And I walked in. I was shaking, don't get me wrong, because I was like, what if I'm putting myself in a situation to be harmed again? So let me be proactive, packed my mace, packed my stuff, wore tennis shoes, got a backpack. I was like, if I have to run today, I'm going to be able to run. Just being proactive. And sure enough, this person showed up and we had a heart to heart. And I seen just so much hurt, so much pain, Emily, on this person. And I saw myself in this person. And I saw who I was the week of my assault in this particular person. And she knows who she is if she ever watches this back. And my heart hurt and it broke with her there in that coffee shop on the table. And what I said to her kind of became something for myself as well. I reached over and I held her. I was like, look, I know we don't know each other. You've been following me on Instagram. I don't even follow you back. Your page is private. So I don't know your intentions. But I know the fact that you trusted to say, I'm not okay and I need someone. And you reached out to me. This is not in vain. And this is definitely not a coincidence. It's intentional. It's a divine intervention right now that you and I didn't even ever imagine. So I reached over, I held her, and I let her cry on my shoulder. And I told her, take your time to heal. Healing takes time. Do not allow anyone else to put a timeline on your individual healing. And she just looked at me and goes, that was so simply stated, but had so much power. And I smiled at her with tears going down my face. And I said, because I am still healing. And no matter if it's a year after my assault or 20 years after my assault or 10 minutes after my assault, I will always need healing. And I will always need it in a way that only Desirae can understand. And for her privacy, and without saying her name, I'll just say Jane Doe. And for Jane Doe, I needed her to remember her value within herself and to hold on to that truth of who she is. And so I kept telling her, you take as long as you need to heal. Never, ever, ever let anybody tell you, oh, it's 6 months till this day, or it's 6 months till then, or this is coming up, you're graduating college, or you're getting married, or you're going on TV at this time, or Don't let anyone put a timeline on you in your healing. So I kept rephrasing it to her and using real life scenarios of what was ahead of her that year. And I told her, I'll just say, for example, this isn't the truth, but I'll say, like, for example, like, just so I don't give away too much about her, let's say her nephew was being born in 5 months. Just because your nephew is being born in 5 months does not put a bookmark on your healing. You heal and celebrate your nephew's birth. You heal and you walk across that stage. You heal and you say, I do at that wedding. You heal and you say, my years come to an end. I'm starting 2018, and you keep healing.
Yep.
There's never a bookmark to when your healing stops, and
Yep.
no one can tell you that. So if given this was a real circumstance that happened with me, a real situation that happened with me and this in particular girl, probably 6 or 7 months into 2017, it was like July or August when this happened. I then felt something stirring in my heart to not let that interaction with her be the last one. And now we're really good friends. I text her this morning, and after that, it was more people I met with at coffee shops. Coffee shops are like the safest place for me, and I love coffee. So it even got to the point where I even thought about inviting them into my home. And my husband's like, okay, now you're going too far. You need to hold up. So I just realized that the number one thing I can speak to someone who is in a situation, regardless if it's an assault, if there's something that has shaken your world, the best way I could describe it, and really broke you down, don't be afraid of it. Be empowered by it. Don't run from it. Own it. Ownership is the most powerfulest thing. Like when you have a phone and someone tries to take your phone and look through your photos, you're like, hey, I own that. And there's a password on that. You have no right to go through my phone because I own that. I pay that bill. Be the same way with your heart. Be the same way with your healing. Be the same way with your finances. I mean, that's like a given. People don't share their finances for the most part, but own it and heal from it. Don't. It's hard because I understand in the early stages you will dwell. In the early stages, you will go through the 12 stages of healing: grief, bargaining, wagering, denial, happiness, joy, peace. You will go through this unwindy roller coaster and be like, yesterday I felt great, today I feel depressed, and the day after that I might feel wonderful, but then the 4 days after that I might be back on my knees crying out to God, or I might even be suicidal in 5 days from now. Live in the present. Because if you continue to look back at your circumstance, you will stay in that circumstance. You will stay in that mindset. But if you can stay in your present, stay in your present. Don't look too far ahead because you get anxious and then you get frustrated with yourself. Healing needs to happen in that moment where you're at right then and there. And then let tomorrow be what it is. And then you'll find yourself 6 months, 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 hours, 6 minutes going, who the hell was that 6 minutes ago? Who was that 6 hours ago? Was that me? I'm not that type of person. That's not me. And you need to remember your truth. Your truth. Those facts about you are stronger than facts. They're truth. Those truths. Who the F am I? I know who I am. Like, I'm a bad mama jamma. And because I am that, I have to remember who I am. And but the only way to have that realization and to be unveiled like a bride the day of her wedding day, unveiled before her husband, you have to be able to own and accept and have a sound mind to actually say, hey, I know who I am, and I know damn well I'm not who this person was on December 29th, 2016, but I know who I am today, January 5th, 2018. And all of that took healing and individual healing, whether I had a group of support, or I had my therapy, or I had my husband, or I had God. You have to be honest and real with yourself. So kind of know your boundaries, take that time to heal individually, and everything else falls into accordance. Trust the process. Take your time to heal. I cannot express that enough. Take your time to heal, and don't let no one tell you when it's like, okay, you've had 9 months to heal. I think it's time to get over that hump. Like, no. Because if you listen to those other voices, you'll find yourself 5 months down the road going, why did I listen to them? Because I'm still hurting. And then you get frustrated with yourself. So take your time to heal. If you're having a bad day, have that bad day. Have that. But I've come to the conclusions where it's like, if the day is rough, have that bad morning. Don't allow it to creep into your afternoon and evening. Have that bad morning. And if you have to watch a funny video on YouTube, if you have to chat and talk to somebody, if you have to go for a run, or maybe you just got to take a bathroom break, and maybe that's the demons in your stomach that's making you have a bad morning. Do it. Do what you got to do. And then say, all right, I had a bad morning. It's not going to creep into my afternoon. And it sure as hell ain't going to creep into my night, because I'm ready and I'm a warrior. And I've made that really something for my 2018 vision. I don't create goals because I feel like it's just such a cliche. I have visions that I want to be able to fulfill in 2018. And some of those are accepting and acknowledging when I know I'm not okay, and being mindful enough to express that, to be expressive and say, hey, I'm not okay. So if today I seem a little off, please don't take it personally. It is not you. And my intentions aren't to be negative Nelly in the room. But I acknowledge my truths, and I know right now that this is a bad hour. So in 2 hours, I promise you I won't give you this personality. Just right now, I need to own it, because if I suppress it, it will pop up later on tonight when I'm laying down with my husband, or it'll pop up later when I'm trying to walk my dogs and I'm yelling at them because they're not walking at the same pace as me. So let me own it for this hour. And then in 2 more hours, I'll be right here with you. And you'll be like, who the heck was that? You're right. I didn't know who she was. That's why I let her have her moment. So that way when I come back and readdress with you, I'm me. I'm who I'm supposed to be. So again, healing takes time. Trust the process. Own it. Ownership. I know I talk a lot, girl.
I love it. I mean, all of these is just drop the mic, like so good. And things that we all need to hear on our journeys. Like incredible word. Thank you for sharing your story and for just empowering each of us over that cup of coffee. To own who we are, to take our own time, because each of our stories are so unique. So it's really good stuff, Desirae. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.